Hey YouTube, Car Guy V8 here with another video, and behind me is my 1995 Mustang GT triple black convertible, and this car was restored in 2018 from the paint to the top, the interior, even the engine and transmission have low mileage on them. They were swapped at the time of the restoration, and if I remember correctly, the suspension and that kind of stuff was done as well. But I figured it'd be a fun video to look around and see what all flaws this car has for being practically fully restored just 3 years ago. So let's start with the exterior. All right, first let's take a look around the car. I was caught in some rain recently, so it doesn't look as good as it could. I need to buff it and all that because it's actually got good paint, and I'm not used to having vehicles with good paint. First thing I noticed when I was looking at the car was there are a few spots on the hood where the paint has bubbled a little bit. You know, 3-year-old paint, and the car is driven. It's kind of hard to catch on the camera. Let's see. It's round right here. You can see right there and right there. Small imperfections. You can see the rain spots too. But, you know, with a car this nice, you've actually got to find things, whereas used to I had to find things that were nice about my cars instead of finding things that were bad about them. Front, there's not really any chips. That's just some dirt from driving it, because I have been driving this car. There's also, you know, a few imperfections. Like, let me find right there. That's a place where the paint's kind of bad. I don't know what happened there. Also around these, what would you call those? Window guards? Something like that. These on both sides aren't the best, but they're certainly not terrible. You can see water spots and stuff. There's a little chip in the paint right there. Look at that. You can see my reflection in the car. Crazy. Tail lights were restored and all that. You know, the car looks great. Probably the worst paint flaw is actually right here. That's pretty noticeable. Oh, there's also a little dent right there where a rock must have hit while driving. But, you know, you can't keep a car perfect, even if you fully restore it. If you're going to drive the car, stuff like that's going to happen. And it's super unfortunate, but that's just the way it goes. Let's take a look at the top. Like I said, it's just about perfect. A little dirty. I haven't bought any top cleaner yet, but I really need to. And there was one spot on the top right here where you can see the seams more than you can on the other side. Just like I said, minor stuff. This hangs down right there, but that's pretty much the flaws of the exterior. Next up, I've got 3 issues. I can show all of these issues at once. See, there's a car coming. Yep, spins the tires just like that. Well, basically, the ABS light's on, which I'll get that. I'll try to figure out what's going on with that soon. Also, they put 373 gears in the rear, but they never adjusted the speedometer. Also, the odometer and the trip odometer don't work. Now, a different instrument cluster was put in this car whenever it was restored, so I'm not actually sure the actual mileage of this car. But I'm wondering, I don't know if those trip odometers and odometer, if it didn't work in the cluster they put in it, or if it's just not hooked up. But all that is stuff that I will look at, or at least fix in the near future. And I'll do videos on all of that. Next up, we have a little 2-for-1 problem. Basically, on a lot of these old EFI 302s, when people install headers, they'll get headers that don't have a provision for O2 sensors. And that's the case on this car. So it's run with no O2 sensors. And so is my 96 F-150 with the long tubes and the 302. Both of these were like that when I bought it. And back in the day, I did a lot of research on the forums about that because I wasn't sure what it would affect. And believe it or not, it's pretty common for people to not run O2 sensors on these 302s. The computer pretty much will just run off of memory. The main problem it causes is your cold idle. You cold start your vehicle and the engine runs a little bit rough. And that's why this is a 2-for-1 problem, because my tensioner pulley is a little bit weak. So basically, I'm going to replace it, because on the cold starts, when the engine's running a little bit rougher, it will bottom out on the bracket, and it makes a little, metal on metal sound, where it almost sounds like spark knock, almost, but it's not. It's the idler pulley. So that's a little 2-for-1 issue caused by no 2 sensors and a old tensioner pulley, I would imagine. All right, last 2 issues, which these are issues that I've already fixed. One, on day 1, I was noticing, hey, it leaks a little bit of oil. Every time I would leave, there'd be like an ounce or 2 of oil on the concrete. So I got up under it, and I found what it was. It was the old oil filter was kind of loose. So I changed the oil that same day, make sure nothing bad happened, and I haven't had an oil leak since. The other one was, it kept blowing fuse number 8. Like, you would put a fuse in, gone, just like that. So I knew it must be either a module or component went bad, and all of a sudden, or there was a ground shorting out or something like that. So the number 8 fuse deals with the map lights in the rear view mirror, the speedometer in the gauge cluster. It deals with the unlock switches, also the power menus, both lock and unlock switches on the doors, cigarette lighter down here. Also, it had to do with, what else was it? There was something else. Oh, yeah, the keyless entry module and the radio. So a lot of things on that fuse. Went through my Chiltons looking at everything, and I, of course, unplugged most of the stuff, see if I could find what was shorting. Had the instrument cluster out, the map lights out, the door bezels out. Even took the center console out, this whole piece right down here, because a lot of times the cigarette lighter right down here, actually there's metal below. This one's a little loose, but if you get change that falls down there, sometimes the change will short out on it and cause it to instantly blow a fuse. But it wasn't that. I pulled out the radio next while I was waiting for the radio tools to come in, and found that from what I could tell, one of the plug-ins for the radio was touching some metal, so I kind of moved some stuff around in there so it stopped shorting out, and that was a pretty easy fix. But I went through just about everything in the interior but while I was waiting for those tools. So those are all the problems to this car so far. As you see, yes, it has problems, but they're pretty minor compared to a lot of the vehicles I've bought in the past. A lot of just little stuff you could overlook for years. But since this is such a nice car, I want to get it all sorted out. So guys, thank y'all for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what other content y'all want to see with this Mustang, because I plan to make a lot of content with it. All right, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.